Good morning, everybody. We have a lot of great information today in our 2023 Zebra product roadmap. So we're going to go ahead and get started. A couple housekeeping things. Everybody is on mute. And if you have any questions throughout the recording, I'm sorry, it is recording. If you have any questions throughout the presentations, please send them over the chat box, and we will get those answered at the end of the presentation. And brief introductions. I am Lisa Fritz. I'm with BCC Distribution. We appreciate you all joining us today for BCC Distribution and Zebra Technologies. For those who are unaware who BCCD is, we are a premier solution partner of Zebra's. We've been in the business for over 25 years, focused on barcode data collection, specializing in customers that have SAP. And as we would like to say is, if it smells of barcoding, we can do it. So we absolutely can help you out with your needs. The presentation today is for Zebra's 2023 product roadmap of mobile RF scanning terminals, printers, and some of their software tools. And to provide us with the great content we have today, we have Mike Johnson from Zebra, one of their senior engineers. And BCCD has had the pleasure of working with Mike for minimally 15 years, if not longer. So he knows his stuff. But with that being said, Mike, I'm going to hand it over to you to go through the presentation.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Lisa. Again, my name is Mike Johnson. I'm a sales engineer here with Zebra. If you're not familiar with Zebra, we manufacture a wide range of products around data collection, barcoding, everything from receipt and label printing to a full line of RFID products, traditional barcode scanners, as well as several suites of software that kind of overlay all of the hardware and provide maybe point-specific software solutions for certain industries. Given that breadth, we worked with BCC to try and narrow down some updates for you today around 2023 and what's coming out. First, we'll take a look at flagship mobile computing. This is kind of the mobile computing, the tried and true. We'll review that. Then we'll take a look at some new products for 2023, specifically the new TC7 and TC5 mobile computers. Then we'll take a look at the ET40 tablet, as well as the RS6100 ring scanner. And then finally, we'll review some of the enterprise printing solutions that Zebra offers. So this is a snapshot of all of the mobile computers that Zebra manufactures. Now, it's a very busy slide, obviously. We make a lot of different products for different use cases, right? So you've got certain products are more geared toward maybe retail versus government use versus healthcare. What we'll zoom in on this morning, just as a review, are the mobile computers most commonly used in warehouse and manufacturing, that middle blue box. So to start off, the MC9300, this is kind of the gold standard for warehousing, manufacturing, mobile computing. It is by far the best seller in this area worldwide. And the reason for that is that it really checks all the boxes. So you've got a ruggedness of a 10-foot drop. It's also rated for 6,000 tumbles. Tumble is basically to simulate dropping it from your hand and to concrete. So it really takes a beating. It also has a variety of options, front and back cameras, long-range scanning, where you can read a barcode from 60 feet, as well as the keypad offers buttons that are large enough that you can actually use it with gloves pretty easily. The keypads are swappable. So, depending on what application you're using, you could have a specific keypad for that use case. Alongside the MC93, we have the MC33. So this takes the same internals as the 93, but puts it into a smaller and lighter case. Along with that, it does reduce the drop to 6 feet, as well as 3,000 tumbles. So it's a trade-off, smaller and lighter, but maybe not quite as insanely durable as the MC9300. One other point is that because it is a smaller unit, the keys can get pretty small. So it's maybe not the best fit if you're doing a full alpha numeric application. But in cases where you can, you just need numbers or you just need letters, it's maybe a decent option there. The TC8300 is kind of a unique form factor. You won't see this elsewhere in the industry. The idea here is that our design engineers took an MC9300 and basically reimagined it without the physical keypad. What we're seeing as time goes on, a lot of the applications that historically required function keys and keypad input consistently, those are over time migrating to touchscreen input. And so with the TC8300, by getting rid of the physical keypad, you end up with a pistol grip with a screen mounted on top. The benefits there are that you keep all of the ruggedness. It's got an 8-foot drop. You get a giant battery that takes up that entire grip, as well as keeping options like the cameras and the long range scanning. And then finally, going along the line of getting away from the physical keypad, we have the TC7 family. Again, this is a very durable product. It's got an 8-foot drop. This is used in warehouse and manufacturing as well as outside the 4 walls. So we see a lot of this in logistics. Think truck drivers, FedEx. We see it in airlines, oil and gas industries, any place that requires the device to really be able to withstand a beating. One other point on this slide I want to highlight. At the bottom here, you'll notice it calls out a 5+5 life cycle. All of the Zebra mobile computers, when they're released, are published upfront with how long we expect that device to last. 5+5 means that at a minimum, it will be available for 5 years of sale. And after it goes end of sale, whenever that date is, it'll be available to be repaired as well as software support for another 5 years. So effectively giving you at least a 10-year life cycle on the product, a very long time in the technology world. The TC7 family is 5+5. In fact, all of the devices that we've looked at so far are all 5+5 life cycles. So that's just kind of a very quick review of some of the current products that we see highlighted for warehouse and manufacturing. Now, I did mention the TC7. The TC7 itself the chassis was originally introduced back in 2015. And since then, it's gone through maybe 4 or 5 refreshes. But the reality is it was getting a little long in the tooth. So for 2023, that product line is going through a complete redesign and is being re-released as the TC73. Some of the upgrades here that you'll notice include Wi-Fi 6E. So at the top there, you'll see there's 2 numbers, TC73, that indicates Wi-Fi, TC78, that indicates a cellular radio in addition to the Wi-Fi. In this case, the cellular radio is 5G, and it also supports CBRS or private LTE. Some other interesting technologies around the TC7 family include a new scanner. So I mentioned before, we had the long range scanning in the MC9300 and the MC3300. And that's great, and that will go out to 60 feet. But we've actually come up with a new, smaller scan engine. that will get you out to 40 feet of scanning. And very useful in use cases where, maybe you've got a fork truck driver and they're trying to scan pallets on the ground. Maybe you're trying to scan location codes that are just a little high. Even being able to scan product at ground level without having to get down onto the ground can be helpful for the operator. Another change with the TC7 family is that it's gone to a 6-inch display, which is kind of the standard these days. While at the same time, the device has gotten thinner and lighter than the previous generation TC7 family. One other point is that even though it's thinner and lighter, the drop spec has actually increased. This TC73 and 78 is now rated for a 10-foot drop, as well as 2,000 tumbles. So, kind of any use case you can throw at it, it's designed to survive. This is just another look at some of the detailed specs behind the TC7. You can pull this down from the web on the data sheet. Another interesting new technology, though, I do want to mention are some additional battery options for the TC7. So, we have the standard battery and extended life battery. New for the TC7, though, is wireless charging. Because it's often used outside, those contacts tend to get dirty over time. So the wireless charging is a nice feature to have for a vehicle cradle, for example. Another new battery type is a Bluetooth beaconing battery. And this battery is designed to work with a Zebra software application that allows you to track down missing devices. And we'll talk about that in a little bit, but the idea is that a battery with Bluetooth embedded into it is able to beacon out its location. And so if it's missing, you're able to use another device to track that down. Now, along with the TC7 release for 2023, we also have a family called the TC5, TC53 and 58. And this is the same as the TC7, just in a smaller, lighter shape. So the TC53, again, is Wi-Fi, Wi-Fi 6E in this case. And the TC58 would be cellular. And again, it's 5G, supports CBRS, private LTE. All of the other specifications, the mid-range scanning capability, the front and back cameras, all of the rest of the specifications are the same with the TC7. I should also point out that both the TC7 and the TC5 can be used with a pistol grip. So, if you're doing more intensive scanning, you can get that ergonomic capability. One other interesting release for the TC5 uniquely is something called a workstation cradle. This is essentially an expansion dock for the TC5. It includes a handful of USB ports as well as an HDMI output. And the idea here is that you can cradle the TC5 in the workstation cradle and then get a completely separate desktop experience. And that desktop is managed completely on its own. So all of the icons are specified, all of the menu items that you allow users to access are completely independent of the device. So, you may have a set of applications that you use on the device, on the TC5, and then a completely different set of applications that maybe require maybe more screen real estate, maybe better keyboard entry or mouse entry. And you can do that using this workstation cradle as kind of an expansion dock. The TC5 also includes Zebra software inside the device itself to maintain the state of that workstation desktop. And this chart just kind of summarizes the durability differences between the TC5 and the TC7. Again, the TC7 going up to 10 feet, the TC5 going up to 6 feet with a boot, 5 feet without. So that was the TC7 and the TC5. Both of those are new for 2023. The TC5 was released last quarter. TC7 is coming out in this quarter. So also new for 2023 is the ET40 tablet. This slide kind of shows our current tablet portfolio. On the right there, you've got our ET80. That's full Windows, clamshell, kind of a rugged laptop replacement. In the middle there, you've got the ET5 and L10. Those are configurable with some different expansion options. Both very durable products. And then new for 2023 is the ET40. And the design around the ET40 is to give us a tablet that's thinner and lighter, more along the lines of consumer styling. Of course, the trade-off is the durability, but in certain use cases, that's a fair trade. So again, you've got the ET40, which is Wi-Fi 6. You've got the ET45, which includes a 5G radio. You also have integrated barcode scanning. So that scanning can be standard range, or just like the TC7 and TC5, we have that new mid-range scanner that can scan out to 40 feet. It's also available in 8-inch and 10-inch display sizes. And along the same lines, here's the detailed specs. Again, these are all available on the web if on the data sheet. In terms of durability, you're looking at a 5-foot drop with a boot or a 4-foot drop without. And then there's some other interesting expansion cradles here. On the right is the workstation cradle. This is similar to what we saw with the TC5, giving you that completely separate desktop experience. And then as we go to the left, you've got a point of sale expansion dock. This includes some locking connectors unique to maybe point of sale needs, as well as a pedestal that could be used for customer self-service. Kind of shifting gears from the ET4 tablet, I did want to mention some of the software that's available to run on these devices from Zebra. So this chart is kind of an overview. All of these applications you see here are used on the mobile devices and provide different capabilities. They may be utilities, they may be line of business applications, security, lockdown, that kind of thing. But I wanted to highlight a handful of these that may be useful. The first is Workforce Connect. This is a push-to-talk application that provides voice and text capability on the Zebra device. It works across Wi-Fi. It works across cellular. It also works across non-Zebra devices. So you can load the app on a cell phone. You can load the app on a Zebra TC5 or MC9000 terminal. And with one button push, you can call out to whoever's part of that call-in group. That's kind of an interesting use case for immediate communications. The texting is also nice too because you can send information like pictures. So think damaged goods, sending a picture to a manager to approve or deny, that item. As well as if you choose to enable it, it offers locationing. So if you've got folks that are running around town, you can kind of keep track of what's going on there. Workstation Connect, we talked about this being the expansion cradle for the new tablet as well as the TC5. Device Tracker, I kind of alluded to this earlier. Device Tracker is a Zebra application that allows you to track down missing devices. The idea there is that there's a server that's maintaining the last known location for devices based on access point. And when that device goes missing for a given period of time, it will tell neighboring devices to look for it. And based on, again, last known AP location, as well as the beaconing out of the missing device. You can use other devices, kind of like a Geiger counter, to track it down. And we're just saying, again, some of the newer devices like the TC7, the TC5 include Bluetooth beacons right in the battery to give you several weeks worth of beaconing. So even if a device goes missing for many days, you'd still be able to track it down. And then Visibility IQ. This is, I just want to mention this very quickly. It's an expansion to our repair portal, effectively giving you real-time stats on all the Zebra devices you have, mobile computers, printers, barcode scanners. It'll tell you when batteries are starting to go end of life. It'll give you real-time visibility to devices that are going through repair. And it'll pull information from mobile device management platforms like SODI or AirWatch and integrate that into a single pane of glass for you. It's a very nice complement to an MDM solution, kind of giving you all of the reporting that most MDMs don't really focus on. And then finally is a public service announcement just highlighting versions of Android. So if you're not familiar, Android typically gets a major release every year from Google. Zebra takes that and integrates it into our devices, and then we publish that on either on the web or eventually roll it into manufacturing. So currently, Zebra is shipping Android 11 across all of our mobile devices. And for the next release, we're going to Android 13. There were a couple reasons behind that. The timing slipped a little bit from Google, from Qualcomm and Zebra for Android 12, especially with the last couple of years. There were some delays there. As well as Android 12 didn't really offer a whole lot in terms of enterprise feature set. So we're looking at Android 13. That'll be posted to the web starting this quarter. And we'll see it come out for all of the devices through 2023. I would expect by the end of this year, we'll see the factory cut it in. So for new devices that are shipping, they also would end up on Android 13. Now, bear in mind that even if a device is shipping on Android 13, the Zebra support platform goes back one version. So any bug fixes from Google, from Zebra, security updates, those all get applied to both the current version of OS, 13 in this case, as well as the previous version, so 11. The intent there is not to force anyone to migrate if they don't need to, but to kind of give you a sliding window there of time to do testing and migration. So that covers the ET40 tablet as well as some of the software feature set. Also new for 2023 is the RS6100 ring scanner. So you may be familiar, we have a current product, the RS5100, that offers standard range scanning. The 6100 really, the new feature is this mid-range scanner. So scanning out to 40 feet. We see this paired up with mobile computers. So you may have something mounted on a fork truck. You may have something mounted to your arm. You may even use it in conjunction with, the traditional scanning gun if you need to get into tight locations for scanning. The other new feature for the 6100 is freezer and cooler operation. So again, with this mid-range scanner, you're able to get a nice distance. You can scan pallets on the floor, scan up a couple racks without needing to do some gymnastics, and you're able to hit that barcode. It's also a durable product. It's used in warehousing. It's used in manufacturing, so it's going to take bumps, especially being mounted to the hand. It is certified for 6 foot to drop, 1,000 tumbles, IP65 sealing. There's a variety of ways the ring scanner can be worn, and it tends to come down to personal preference. New for this year is a hand mount. This is kind of a half glove option, available for left or right hands, different sizes. Very comfortable to use. You can see the trigger there is underneath the thumb. As well as there are a couple different single trigger options. On the left, you can reverse that for either left or right-handed use. On the right-hand side, you've got a double trigger that also includes vibration. And then if you're wearing large gloves, you can use the back of hand mount, and that's a series of straps. They come in a couple different sizes that would go over the glove. Or even on the right-hand side there is a lanyard mount. Because the scanner's so small, you could actually wear it around your neck. We don't see that as often, though. And then this is just kind of an overview. One other item I wanted to call out here is the bottom right there. There's a corded adapter for the ring scanner. So in a scenario where you have a mobile computer like the TC5, for example, that we saw earlier, you might mount that on your forearm and use this corded adapter to plug directly into that to provide power to the ring scanner. And the idea there is that you can get away from needing to manage batteries on that ring scanner. So again, the RS6100 for longer range imaging there. And then finally, we'll review enterprise printing. As you're probably aware, we have a full line of industrial printing options. Everything from the ZT600 at the far left that provides 24/7 printing, all the way down to the entry line of the ZT100. In this case, I'd like to highlight the ZT400 series. This really ends up being kind of the Goldilocks choice, at least to start. It has, it supports the different print widths. It has decent speed as well as resolution options. It's got the durability to stand up to typical use, and is less expensive potentially than the 24/7 ZT6 and 500 series. So it's a great place to start. It also includes a lot of different options for expandabilities. Think about different ways to handle media, Peter, cutter, liners, RFID expansion. If you can purchase it today and then add in RFID later, it's a very versatile line of printers. Now, we also offer a line of desktop printers. If we need printing in a smaller space or just need something less expensive, maybe we don't need the throughput, the recommendation there would be to take a look at the ZT621. This offers still pretty decent speed and resolution, as well as a variety of different options in terms of connectivity. You can also, still do direct thermal transfer, and even, potentially add in RFID at a later date. So even though it's a smaller, and again, not as robust as we saw with the ZT4, it's still a nice option to have. One other unique accessory for the ZD series is this battery pedestal. The intent here is to take this smaller printer that's normally stationary on a desk and give it some measure of portability. So the battery clips right onto the bottom of the printer. You could put that onto a cart and kind of take it where it's needed. And then finally, going down even further in size are the mobile printers. And the idea here is that the mobile printer is typically worn on person or maybe even mounted to a forklift. And in those scenarios, we would generally look at the ZQ600 for indoor use. You've got the variety of print widths, decent print speed, and then a variety of connectivity, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, etc. It is also IP and drop rated, so it's an IP54 with a 5-foot drop. Because it is a mobile printer, as people handle it, it will take those bumps and bruises. And that's kind of the refresh around enterprise printing. And with that, I think, Lisa, we can go ahead and take any questions. Again, we can go through any questions on the products that we covered already, or if you've got other things you want to talk about, we can take a look at those too.
So actually, sorry, Mike, before we jump into the questions, I'm going to go ahead and share some information that I have in regards to Zebra has a trade-in program. So this is something that Zebra's had for a few years now, and I'm always happy to see them refresh it each year. And they have refreshed it for part of 2023. So right now, the trade-in program is only January 1st through April 30th of 2023. And at high level, what this program is that Zebra allows you to trade in an old unit. It does not have to be a Zebra brand. When you purchase a new one, it's a 1-to-1 ratio, and then you work directly with Zebra to get that rebate. So for example, if you had an old MC 9190, it's end of service life, no longer supported, and gosh, it's time to refresh. Let's get that Android operating system in. You can trade that in for an MC 9300, and your company would get $250 per terminal. So you have to, once you receive the new unit, you have to send the old one in. I believe it's within 60 or 90 days. That's a little too far in the weeds for me, but this is something to consider when you guys are trying to time out your product refreshes, because I know that a lot, not all, but a lot of the MC 9200s that are out there are reaching their end of service life in March of this year. So it's definitely time to start looking to see if you want to do a product refresh, your full fleet of units, or perhaps just one at a time as they break. It's absolutely something that you can do. But currently this program is only through the end of April. I have my fingers crossed that you can't see that it will be extended at least until the end of the year. So this goes across the mobile terminals. You can do a rebate. Some of your barcode scanners, or what we call the dummy scanners, and also for printers. So I know the Zebra printers are like a workhorse and they don't really seem to break, but should they start wearing down and we're ready for new, here's just a quick list of the printers. So you can get the ZT411, as Mike said, which I loved. It's the Goldilocks choice of printers. It is also the most common printer that BCC distribution sells, but really you pretty much have the full array of printers on here. And so your company can get that rebate, and then those printers are recycled responsibly, which is a nice thing too. So I did just want to make sure I bring that up because I know quite a few people on this call are probably looking to time that product refresh. Okay, so let me get to some of those questions. And Okay, so let's see. The first question, I'm going to grab it off here, is that, okay, hold on a second. Okay, so where did it go? Apologize, hold on. Okay, so the first question I had come across asks, with the desktop workspace on the TC, does that have any effect on the use of the enterprise home screen to lock down the device?
So enterprise home screen, or actually any of the lockdown launchers, from an MDM, for example, that would still only impact the device when it's used separately from the workstation cradle. The workstation cradle desktop has kind of its own setup. and it's all managed and configured from the device. So it's not just duplicating the device screen in a bigger format. It's giving you a completely separate experience, and with your own. You define what icons show up. You define the menus. You define how it looks to the user, and that's all handled through the setup of right on the device.
Can the accessories for the TC72 work with the TC73?
Generally, no, because of the chassis difference in size. It's a different shape. Now there are a couple shims being planned that may give you some capability there. So for example, if you look at a single slot cradle, on the Zebra cradles, you can actually remove the top and put a different top on there that fits a different device. But I would say, there may be a couple of those options coming out, but in general, it's different. The batteries are different. It's a different shape and size.
Okay. And would that be this is now my question, would that be the same for the TC5 series of the different
Exactly.
formats? Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. And in fact, the TC5 and TC7 now share batteries.
Really?
Although they wouldn't share cradles, but they do share batteries. The
That's interesting.
TC7 shape is larger, so the cradle would be different to accommodate.
Well, I learned a couple of things already on this, including that. So the push to talk, does that come on all Zebra devices?
It is available. It's a licensed product, and it is available across the board. So it's maybe more, certain devices like tablets, for example. It's a little awkward to use a tablet as a voice device. You could certainly use it for text or pair it with a headset. But yeah, depending on the device, you've got different use cases there.
Okay, thank you. Then also the ZT230 has gone away. Can you talk a little bit about the replacement ZT231?
Yeah, to a limited degree. It's actually just a direct replacement. I'd have to double check on the ZT2. We don't see a lot of those, quite honestly. But yeah, as I recall, it's just a straight replacement.
Okay. I only have a couple more here. So again, if anybody has any questions, feel free to send them over a chat, or of course you can always reach out to your BCC rep. But another question here is, to find a device, does the terminal need power?
Yeah, so that's a great question, and that leads into the reason they came out with these Bluetooth batteries. So we've had this device tracker app for a while, and the gotcha was always that, well, if I lose the device, after a couple days or a week or whatever it is of sitting, it's going to die. The battery's going to die, and then I won't be able to find it. The beauty of these Bluetooth batteries is that even when the main battery goes down, there's this backup beaconing going on that gives you, 2 or 3 times the amount of life. So it really kind of opens it up to make it a more useful solution. Now, again, we just have the TC7 and the TC5 so far with those Bluetooth batteries, but yeah, that's the intent behind it.
Okay. Do you know if it's in the works maybe to have that Bluetooth beacon battery for a 9300 or the MC3300? Do you know if that's in the works?
I don't offhand. My expectation would be ideally, yes. I think it'll depend on real world use. We'll see if it seems like it really does add value there. I think potentially you could see it across the board, but yeah.
Okay. Okay. And then the last question that I have for today, right now, is how long does the battery last for the printer? And I assume they're referring to one of those desktop printers that we can mount onto that base.
Yeah, so generally, again, it's all a function of how much you're printing and all the variables around that. So the design of that pedestal is to make it last a full shift. 8 to 12 hours is what they designed it for. I suspect, you'll get a wide range depending on the actual use case, but that's the intent.
Okay. And we had another question pop in. Zebra 4x6 thermal transfer RFID labels. How far are they readable?
It would depend on the label itself. So every label there's a wide variety of options there, right? Every RFID label has a certain chip and antenna combination called an inlay. And depending on what inlay you're using, um, you know, you'll get farther read ranges. Smaller labels, smaller antennas tend to reduce the range, while larger labels and antennas tend to increase it. But there's a wide variety.
Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately, that isn't the easiest answer, but we are going to be I'm not sure if my screen is showing. I do apologize, but we are going to do an RFID focused presentation because that's its own animal. We're going to be doing that in early Q2, and Q2 for BCCD is April, May, and June. And we'll touch on, because that's a great question. We'll also in that presentation make sure we touch on the media and labels for that. So we'll make sure everybody on this call also gets an invite to that. And we have a SOTI presentation in April too. Another question just popped in, and I'll handle this one. What's the lead time on the MC3300 devices? So the MC3300's BCC distribution is great. Casey on our team is great, and we do our best to keep a good stock here, earmuff at Zebra, for our customers. So my quick answer would be if it's our standard configuration, which is the longer range scan engine, 47 keys, and that's the most common version. The lead time currently is 1 week, depending on your quantity, but Zebra as a whole has really been improving their lead times, both on the mobile terminals and the printers are starting to get back and more available. So that was a great question, but to generically answer you, we have them stocked here and 1 week shipping. And I think that's
Lisa, if I need demos, can I come to you? You're faster than our demo pool.
We probably could get you one faster than you can get it.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, for real. But we actually do, and everybody on the call, we do have a great size demo pool here. So if that's something that's needed, reach out to your rep, or I have the contact information on the screen to reach out to, and you'll be directed to me most likely. But we appreciate everybody jumping on the call. Again, this was recorded, and so we will have this posted somewhere. I'll be using my team to assist me with that. But if any questions come up afterwards, let me know. But again, do expect some emails with invites to our April webinar for SOTI, along with our RFID webinar that we are currently putting together. So thank you, everybody, and thank you so much, Mike, for bringing all the information here for us today.
Sure thing. Thanks, Lisa.
Thanks. And I just saw one pop in that says, will we be sending out the presentation? I know we're going to be posting it. I don't know about sending that out, but I know who you are, so I'll make sure that that gets to you. All right. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate your time today. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.